Alright, thanks for clicking on the video. This is just my thumbnail screen, so if you want to go ahead and get right to the video, go ahead and skip forward about 50 seconds starting now. See you there. Hello and thanks for joining. Today I'm going to be going over the F-104G StartFighter from 21st Century Toys, and along with the Ultimate Soldier. These are mainly for show or model aircraft, so I guess don't really get them confused. Anyway, these are pretty cool to find. I've only seen one review off the F-104, and that was the American version, so I decided to go over the German and go in a more in-depth review. This is the outside of the box, where you can see where the other models of the F-104. There is a pretty cool amount of them. There's about two more, the Vietnam and I believe the Air Force One. There's both the same, but they're just different time periods, I guess you can say. There's the TBM over here. This one I will probably be going for next if I can get my hands on one. And it is a 1/18 scale. There is a red line right here, which is actually not on the model. I do not know if this is a factory defect or just on the box. Anyway, let's go ahead and unbox this thing and get a good look at it. Okay, now that we're on the outside, I can go ahead and get some more better lighting. I apologize if it is a little windy out here. So until I get some more, that'll be better. There's the instruction manual for people. Okay, moving on to the outside of the model, we have the external fuel tanks. These would be attached to the sides of the wing, probably for longer haul flights due to, well, this thing eats a lot of gas. There is no room for gas inside the wings due to them being very thin. Now, onto the external tanks. They seem to be very clean. There is a bit of brightness or bright orange on the bottom. I believe this probably has to do with them being just pretty old and being in the box, or maybe had a light shine on it for too long. Maybe the sun got on it somehow. I have no idea, but overall, that's the only thing that I can find that was coming with the box. You can see what I mean right about there. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and move on to the nose cone of the aircraft here. So there it is. It is fairly simple. You can just really start to see the rocket shape of this jet that they made, especially that back then this was considered probably one of the fastest fighters you can get. Today this thing would be considered pretty slow, which is absolutely crazy. Now we have the little pilot, I guess you could say. I'm not too educated on what uniform these people would have, I guess you can say, or setup they would be using in the cockpit, but I can only assume this is pretty close. Everything seems to work pretty good on that. Now we move on to the tail section with the rudder or vertical stabilizer, or whatever you call it. This is probably one of the more well detailed models I've ever had, I guess you can say, that come already painted and they're just already practically built. I noticed on the box there are air brakes on these. This one did not have any air brakes, or they're not implemented. Overall, it's a pretty smooth shape. The rudder does move. The turkey feathers, or the afterburner, or we call it turkey feathers, in the back, they are really well. There's the respirator hook. I believe this actually did not land on aircraft carriers, but there was a wire at the end of the runway where if your brakes failed, that would catch on it and you should be okay. I think they had that on the F-105. So I think, or another jet, correct me if I'm wrong. Now we have the refilling port, or the aerial refueling. Just got to pull this out. Took a bit. It is really well detailed, I guess you can say. It seems to be made out of a more softer plastic, I guess you could say, which in my move is great, or in their move, mainly because if you were to bump into it, at least it wouldn't break off, and you would have a very bad glue line when you glue it in there. So that's a pretty good bonus. Then again, I do apologize again about the wind. It's going to be a little flappy, so yeah. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and go over the wing. I believe this is the right wing of the aircraft. No, I believe this is, correct me, my bad. I believe this is the left wing of the aircraft, and these kept these actually very thin, mainly just so it could reach its supersonic goal here. I believe these could reach somewhere, maybe even over Mach 2. You can see where they just really cut low. Now, everything on here does do really good. It moves. The other moves. The flaps move. And I believe even the leaning edge of this, let me go ahead and go over there. The leaning edge even moves down, so you can lower that and lower the back of the flap to have a either landing or on the ground. Fun fact about the wings is whenever they were on the ground, they had covers on the edge of them because they were so sharp. If you accidentally ran into them, you could really cut yourself up. That just goes to show the great lengths these people went to. I'm heading on to the left wing here. Hi man, I keep messing that up. I'm going on to the right wing here. It's the same pretty much. You can see the leaning edge on the left side is a little bent down. I got it like that. I don't know what happened. I can just assume that this model is pretty old and that happened because it was in the box. There's a little bit of a speck there or a scratch. That's not good, but it's nothing much to worry about. I don't plan on selling this model, so I'm not too cautious. Okay, I do believe these are equipped with two more sidewinders, so I'll get to those in a bit. We have the elevator here. There's that little notch it probably pins into on the rudder. Now, a quick fact, I do see a little notch here. I don't know if it's going to be able to move or not, but I shall see later. It does come with the two rocket or missiles, whatever you want to call them, probably missiles. I don't know what typical ones these are, but have to look it up. Here is the rack for them, and let's be serious here. Getting these things out could be kind of a pain, so bear with me. Okay, now pulling out the missiles for the aircraft, we can go ahead and see. I can already tell that they're really well made, or they seem to be one of the better made ones I have seen over the time. It's simple enough. They have two little notches where they clip onto the rack, and I believe the rack actually clips onto the bottom of the aircraft, if I am correct. It's overall pretty sturdy. Now that's all that's left is the fuselage of the aircraft. Oh boy, I bet that's what everybody's waiting for. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get here. I'm trying to stay out of the shadow or keep the shadow on it, so you might see me pop in the frame or whatever in here. So hopefully I get the light on here pretty good. They did get the detail on here pretty good. I don't see any scratches mainly, so this is good. The landing gear doors they are very good fit, but they don't hold in very well. Here's a little bag that is full of the pitot tube, the helmet, and there's an oxygen mask. I have that up in my desk. I did not want to lose it, so it's there. Don't worry. Okay, now here's the main fuselage. It's very well built. It feels very sturdy. Now onto the main fuselage here. It's very sleek. I'm very surprised. Not any really gaping or just hooks that I can grab onto besides the underside. The gear doors are pretty okay. They've lined really well, just they're not very strong and holding in. When it's upright, they might hang out a bit. So I'm going to figure out a way. I think putting a piece of paper in there between that might help. There is the nose wheel. There is a spring. These are spring loaded. You have to pull them up, but they are spring loaded and spring right back into the fuselage, which is a very nice touch I found out. So I like that a lot. You can go and close the doors. The nose door and the nose gear is very, very nice. I like it a lot. There's the side door right here with the side landing gear. I find it to be very well. As you can see, you pull it out and it clips itself into place there, and then you just slide that out. Now the landing gear, like I said, are very, very weak on this aircraft, so be sure to be very careful when handling these aircraft. Alright, now moving on to the front of the aircraft, you can just start to see where they got this rocket shape from, and you have the 3 little dots right there. That's where your refueling probe goes. Man, they sure designed this thing like a rocket, and that's why I love it. It's very well detailed, especially near the cockpit. The cockpit, or the canopy, opens up very nicely. I could probably use some silicone on it, but it does open up very nice. The detail near it is absolutely outstanding. I love it. That's why I particularly love these models, is just that they set apart, mainly because you can tell that these, well, they're not handmade. They are near that quality. Now, sadly, my camera was not recording whenever I had put in the tail, the elevator, and the wings, but it's a matter of what you think. It is a matter of snapping them in. They fit pretty snugly, as you can see with this external fuel tank. You have to kind of really shake it in there and hold it in, but that's an awesome good thing about these models, is that they're very snug. You just have to be very, very gentle with them, not to break it, because oh boy, if it breaks, that's probably the end for you. It's probably the end for you. But it does hold in very nice, and I do like it about that. And once they're in, they're in pretty well. The landing edge works with these almost better when they're on. I like it. I think it looks pretty good with them on. I am more of a man to prefer them without anything on the wing, but since the little notch is there, it's kind of well, you don't have a choice. So, but I like it. I think it's okay. Yes, those are some smudges. I had been working with some WD-40 on my car, so I had a little WD-40 on my fingers. I did not notice that. So anyway, I'm working on the nose and the bottom. So there's the gear doors. The gears simply just slide out. I'm having to be very gentle on that one gear, because if you check my previous video, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. The front nose gear also is a little weak, so I'm going to close those gear doors on it. And that fell out. I actually had to get a little small piece of paper and put it in between that to make it a more tighter fit, which held a lot better. Okay, now we're going to go over the little sidewinders these have been included with. I retracted the gear and set it on the show frame, mainly because I just don't want that gear to break. Like I said, I'm going to say it again, these gear are extremely fragile. Like, very, very, very fragile. Anyway, so these fit on very nicely. You just attach them to the bottom of the aircraft, and it seems to work quite well. Next, we have the refueling probe. You can see these 3 little dots here. I'm going to try and get this in frame. It's a simple matter as just pushing these in there. And it's a little bit of a tight fit. It's not exactly flush with the aircraft, but it is very nice. So that is a good, nice feature to add to it. The little, I guess you could say the pilot should be added inside the cockpit. He does have a parachute and a helmet included. Like I said, I have the oxygen mask on my desk, so it's not included right now. Here is the pitot tube. This is what measures your airspeed. This just goes in the front. It's a little down right now, but you can just twist it or move it, and it will line right up, so don't worry about that. Overall, I would give this model a 7 out of 10. It is a very sturdy model. It has inside details. It is very It's a very sturdy model. I like it a lot. It is something great to be held up on your ceiling or on a landing display or just overall. I know I didn't get a good view of the cockpit earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and get zoomed in on here. And this is one of the things I love about these models. It has a wonderful, absolutely wonderful cockpit. And this is something that is definitely on the top of my list for one of the best cockpits on these models. This is just showing inside the air intake, and no, there's nothing in there. So there you go. Just to show you the sheer size of this model, this is I believe, a queen bed, and it takes up roughly 3/4 of it. So I think this makes it a fairly big model. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Just let me know if I should do any more like this. I really enjoyed it. Until the next time, see ya.